Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're brand new here, my name is Stav, and this is Mac. He's my boyfriend, and he's also been a firearms instructor for his entire adult life, so he's got some good information for you guys. In a previous video we did called Target Shooting versus Self-Defense Training, I asked you guys to leave some questions in the comments of that video that Mac would answer in a Q&A. So today we're going to film that Q&A, and we're so glad you're here, and we hope you enjoy this video. Screenshotted some questions that you guys asked for Mac, so I'm going to ask him the questions and then he's just going to answer candidly. So are you ready?
Send it.
Okay. Rachel D asks, Mac, what is your favorite quick access safe for in the home and your favorite safe for the car or traveling, especially with kids around?
Gun Vault makes a very good quick access safe. I think that's the one that we used maybe in one of your videos. If not, I've definitely used it in my videos.
Yeah, we showed it in our home defense video.
That's a good one. I've been real happy with that. It has a key backup. It only has 4 buttons. It's got a spring-loaded door. So when you hit that last button, the door flies open. They make them in different sizes, so you could put 2 pistols in there, 3 pistols in there. The same company makes rifle or long gun safes as well. So Gun Vault, I think, does a great job. And they're sturdy. They're definitely not flimsy. They're solid. They come with multiple options where you can bolt the safe to the floor, to the wall, or you can use a cable, and you could lock it with a cable. So you got all sorts of different options, and that's for the home. As far as safes for the car, I really feel like your gun should be on your body. If it's not on your body because it's uncomfortable, but for another reason, okay, then I guess safes might be a good option. So I don't know why we wouldn't use the same safe though. The Gun Vault would still be great. I do leave a safe in my vehicle, and I do recommend safes in vehicles because you just never know if you're going to go somewhere that doesn't accept firearms, and having your unloaded firearm in a locked container is what is legal in Massachusetts. I'm sure a lot of other states have that. So it's good to just have that in there. Here's the thing that I try to preach to everybody. I know this is a long-winded answer, but muscle memory and being consistent with your training is very, very, very important. If you had one style safe for your home defense, I would want you to have the same style safe for your car if you went that way. And I'd want it to be the same code, because under stress, I don't want you thinking, was this my house safe or was this my car safe? So it would be this, you can set them up however you want. So it would be the same code, same safe, and ideally speaking, same gun, same ammunition, same everything, because I'm a hockey player by trade. I know baseball players are like this as well. Heck, even football players are like this, quarterbacks with the ball. I like my stick to be taped right. I like it to be the right length. I like it to be the right curve. I like it to be the right lie, which is the angle of the blade versus the stick. You give me a stick that is not my stick and ask me to play a game, I will not be as good at playing hockey unless I have my stick. I feel the same thing carries through all firearms as well. I want my gun. I want it to be the right way, I want the right ammunition, I want everything so that everything's consistent with how I essentially play or work all the time. Gun Vault's probably my #1, and be consistent if you're going to choose to put one in the car.
Kelsey Gundows asks, as a mother of 2 toddlers, I carry to protect them and myself. However, I'm nervous for when the time ever came, I would need to use my EDC with my boys around. I already only carry on the side I could get to when holding one of them. What other drills could I do to be ready with my children around?
If I'm hearing this correctly, so she's got the kid in one hand.
Yeah,
and
she's holding a kid.
Okay.
Are there any drills that she could do to prepare for what if something happens when she has her kid on her?
Bodyguard type training. I'm just going to go down a slight tangent. In the American style of bodyguarding is to basically get your body in between the person you're protecting and the adversary, and then you fight with them or whatever, maybe gunfight, whatever. So it's kind of like you kind of put them behind you and you go. If you look at a lot of the bodyguard style training that goes overseas, Russia especially, they get their person, whoever they're protecting, completely out of the way, and sometimes quite forcefully, and then they have their fight so that their principal, the person they're protecting, is not involved, because bullets go through human bodies and stuff like that. I personally believe that's a better approach of getting whoever you care about out of the line of fire, not in the line of fire behind you. So holding a child and then having to get into a gunfight. I guess I don't want anyone throwing kids, but getting that kid out of your hands is probably the better option than trying to hold the kid and get into a one-handed gunfight.
With the kid right
So, yeah, I don't know exactly how to do that. My boys now are old enough that I've seen many gunfights where, you know, I think almost everyone I've seen has been dad, but dad having a child on his hand getting in a gunfight. So he's deploying rounds with Junior. Very loud, very scary, bullets are coming back. It's not what you want. It would be better. It would probably be overall less dangerous for him to have tossed that kid gently and get him out of the way. The thing is, kids need training too. So, I mean, when you toss the kid, you move the kid, like you give him a slight toss 6 feet. As soon as that kid gets on his feet, he's coming back to mom or dad. So it's something to think about there. So I would practice both ways and think about both ways and just see which one you think would be best for you. But obviously, one-handed operation is going to be your probably number one, which means one-handed draw, one-handed shooting, one-handed reloading, and one-handed malfunction clear. Because this hand might have Junior. So a lot of one-handed operation for you with movement, and preferably movement getting the child as far away from the fight as possible. So, you know, normally what I recommend is if you're shooting and one hand goes down because you got shot or something, you just keep everything the same. If you're protecting someone, you're going to want to practice getting them behind you and turning your body sideways to actually keep them out of the line of fire. But, you know, simple answer, one-handed operation all the way through.
I really like this one because I think it's very important to think about. Jason O. asked, how does one prepare psychologically for the lethal outcome of a self-defense situation?
I don't know how you could possibly prepare for that. I've been a Marine. I was a Marine for 10 years. I served with many other Marines. Been a police officer now for almost 17 years. Multiple friends of mine have had to use their firearm. Multiple Marine friends of mine have used their rifles and pistols in combat. So I don't know if you could possibly prepare for it. I don't know if there's a way, because if Marine Corps training and police training and SWAT training, I was a SWAT operator for 6 years as well. If that doesn't quite get you there, I don't know what could. Having a reality-based mindset and not a movie-based mindset is probably the best thing I can tell you. You know, like, there's 2 books out there that I highly recommend everybody read, and this question goes right in, and it's On Killing and On Combat. They're both outstanding books. Lieutenant Colonel Grossman writes them, and he's basically a psychologist.
There's one.
Here's On Killing. He talks a lot about the psychology of combat, the psychology of taking other people's lives and of killing.
I'll link that below in case you guys want to check it out.
It'll open your eyes as to the history of human beings in combat that I didn't expect either. It's going to give you a lot of reality to think about, and then you kind of, you know, look yourself in the mirror and give yourself a solid gut check and just kind of know when it happens, it is not a good thing. And in my classes, and Stav's heard me say it many times, you get into a use of force situation that requires a gun, that is a shit sandwich. Meaning bread, actual shit, and bread, and you're gonna eat it. And nobody wants to eat a shit sandwich, because that sucks, right? So it's never going to be good. It's you don't approach it like it's going to be the end of Rudy and everyone's going to put you up on their shoulders and carry you off the field chanting your name. It's going to be bad. There's going to be people that really completely disagree with what you did, even if it was a fantastic thing and you saved lots of lives. There's still going to be people against you. The media, who knows, most likely against you. You know, so you got a big uphill possible criminal investigation, civil investigation, and then just the psychology of being involved in one of those things, the media, and it's a lot. But again, another thing I've said to all my students really is the only way that you're ever going to go to jail, that you're ever going to get sued, and that you're ever going to have to deal with years of psychological trauma is if you're alive. If you're dead, you don't go to jail, you don't get sued, you don't have psychological trauma. You have to live to experience all the negativity of being involved in a gunfight. So make sure you survive long enough to deal with the crap. You gotta survive long enough to eat that shit sandwich.
Okay, this question's from Mark Dennis. I'm looking for a good inside the waistband holster for concealed carry for my Glock 19. Do you have any suggestions?
Easy. Crossbreed and alien gear. Boom. Like one of those two is great. They're not that expensive. They're gonna give you a lot of information about what you like, what you don't like. I prefer crossbreed, but that's because I like what's called the combat cut. I get a much better grip and a faster draw. And I don't think Alien Gear offers it, or they don't offer it in everything. But that might not be your end stop, but that's a great place to go first. And then you might get fancier than that. It's like a good middle of the road, well-made holster, both of them, that will teach you a lot about what you like and what you don't like about inside the waistband holster.
Okay, there's a second part to this question. Also, do you use a holster for your pepper spray? How do you carry it?
No. On duty, yes, obviously it's like required, but off duty, no. I generally always wear Carhartt style pants, and my jeans generally are like carpenter jeans, so like I got a hammer loop on one side and then like a side pocket on like my right thigh. And almost always those Carhartts, those carpenter style jeans, they always have like a pocket on your right thigh, possibly on your left thigh, and that's where my pepper spray almost always goes. That's how I carry my pepper spray.
This question's from Steve Margall. Mac, in a previous video you recommended a 20 gauge semi-auto shotgun for home defense. Which make and model do you prefer?
Okay, so my make and model that we own, that I bought for Stavroula, is a Remington 1187 youth model, and it's one of my favorites, and I recommend it to a lot of people. But the reason why we went with that one is, number one, it's a very small semi-automatic shotgun. The stock is only 13 inches. That's called length of pull, the stock length. So it's nice and tight for confined spaces. The barrel, I believe, is 20 inches. It might be 22, but I think it's 20 inches. It holds 4 shells, and if you put it around the chamber, it can hold 5, which is compliant with mass law. And sorry, we live in Massachusetts. A lot of our laws suck. So it's totally compliant with mass. And then the other thing is Stavroula hunts, and she'll be doing a hunting video soon, but she pheasant hunts, she small game hunts, and she deer hunts right now. And I'm sure we'll be doing more, and probably hog hunting's coming up. And so that gun, that Remington 1187, allows her to do all of that because she has just different choke tubes she can put into it. So it covers us around the entire spectrum. We can go clay bird shooting, we can go hunting, we can do self-defense training, all that stuff. And a Remington 1187 has more aftermarket parts than you can possibly imagine because it's very popular. So you can do whatever you want to do with it. There are a lot of really good semi-automatic shotguns out there. I wouldn't balk at it. If money is not a big problem and you're not, budgeting doesn't matter at all, I would go with an inertia-driven system, not gas. I would prefer that our Remington 1187 is inertia, not gas, because they're just so much cleaner, they're more reliable, they run for longer periods of time. The gas systems, plan on cleaning them every 200 rounds or less. Unlike your self-defense pistol that you probably can put 1,000 rounds through and then clean it and it'll still be fine, you gotta stay on top of shotguns as far as maintenance goes.
David Savan asks, Mac, have you ever shot plus P in a JFrame 38 revolver? Some say it's dangerous. Some say it's necessary to stop the perpetrators. Any thoughts?
I've shot it many times. I would say if your JFrame is rated for plus P, then it's rated for plus P. You're all set, don't worry about it. If it doesn't say it's rated for plus P, there's a good chance it's not rated for plus P, and I wouldn't shoot plus P out of it. Now, when it comes to performance, generally speaking, a bullet coming out of a barrel that's less than 2 inches, which is often a JFrame is 1 7/8, most common, right? So you're not going to get good ballistic performance from a hollow point. All right, more likely than not, you will get bad ballistic performance from a hollow point. So whether it's standard pressure or plus P, it's still not going to work correctly. So if I was going to carry a JFrame, I would go back to our 1950s technology, and this was very common for the detective specials, the Colt detective specials, the Smith & Wesson JFrames, the Chief specials, all those stuff. The semi-wad cutter was the bullet of choice. It's a solid lead bullet, and it's going to punch a neater hole in the target. You're not looking for that bullet to change that much shape. You're looking for it to basically stay the same. I wouldn't even go to hollow points on a barrel of that short. So whether it's plus P or not, I don't think the performance is going to really matter. So I would go with a standard pressure. I would go with a semi-wad cutter as far as self-defense ammunition out of a JFrame.
Good job. The next one is from Acidman 131. How about having Mac talk about how the police like you to conduct yourself in the case of a traffic stop while having your CC weapon with you? Thanks.
This is going to be, a question I've gotten every single class I've ever taught. People ask me this question, and I cannot give you a solid answer because there are, in my department, there's 56 cops. Now, I might have 56 different opinions on what they like. I'm a gun guy, right? All right, this might take a quick second, but it's probably worth it. There's been studies out there that talk about cops and their knowledge of civilians' owning firearms and what that means. And the way that kind of comes out is about 96% of law enforcement do not go shooting at a gun club on their own. Okay, they don't understand the civilian world of firearms. They don't understand how enjoyable it is for many people, how they do it every weekend, how they shoot, hundreds of rounds a month or thousands of rounds a month, how there's like, IDPA and USPSA. They don't know any of that. What they know is 2, 3, 4 times a year, they are required to go to the range and do what the firearms instructor tells them to do so they can survive a tragic situation that hopefully doesn't happen, but it happens all the time. That's what they know. They do not know what's going on in the civilian world of guns. 96% of them might want you to conduct yourself one way, and the 4% of us, the gun nuts like me, don't really care. Because we know, like I've belonged to many gun clubs over the years, and I know that if you have a license to carry and you're a shooter, you're probably a very good guy or girl. You're probably very competent. I do not worry about you at all. It's the non-licensed to carry people that I am always the most concerned with. I would say there's nothing wrong with you presenting your information at the very beginning of a car stop if you feel that that's in your best interests. And then state by state, like Massachusetts, you have no duty to tell the police officer that you are carrying a firearm. So if you're in a state like Massachusetts where you don't have to say anything, then I don't know why you would, truthfully. I mean, it's your right to carry. So if I pulled you over for a marked lanes violation or for a red light violation, why are we talking about guns? Like, how did that happen? We should be talking about your driving. But I do know that a lot of people get nervous about that interaction. So getting ahead of it, if that makes you feel better and more comfortable, many states do require it. So I would say this, don't lie and don't be sneaky. So either come right out of it or just go with the flow. But if you are asked the question, is there a gun in the car? Do you carry firearms? Flat out, yes, I do. My firearm is on my right hip. My LTC is in my wallet. What would you like me to do? LTC is licensed to carry. That's what Massachusetts firearms licenses are called.
I'm curious to see how you answer this one.
All right.
This is from Barefoot Mac. Can you recommend a comfortable shoulder holster for men?
Not really. Okay, so I am 6'5", and right now 240, and that's the heaviest I've ever been. So normally I'm moving around at about 6'5", 220, 225. That's like my in shape platform. So what that means is I'm long and lean. That's my normal body type. With that body type, shoulder holsters don't work very well unless you're carrying a tiny gun, and if you're that body type, you have big hands and tiny guns don't work for you very well anyway. So if you're kind of my size, shoulder holsters are not a good thing. They don't fit you because you're so tall and so, lanky or whatever you want to call it. They just don't work. I've had 4 shoulder holsters. Not one of them is overly comfortable or conceals well. So I carry much more comfortably on my waistline. I've known a lot of people that are like what you consider to be normal sized people, 5'10", 6'1", in that area. And they're, much thicker than I am, that carry shoulder holsters and are quite comfortable with them. I just don't have a lot of first-hand experience where I could give you advice and say, oh, what's a good shoulder holster for comfort, because they've never really worked for me and my body type. Good luck with shoulder holsters. I just think that waist carry is much better for me.
Okay. Cynthia Dominguez writes, as a young petite woman, I know that if I'm in a life or death situation, I would lose a fight. Now that I'm carrying, I would like to know when is the right time to withdraw my weapon for someone my weight and size. She's 4'9", 110 pounds.
Well, it's not that easy. You can't say, like, if you're 5 feet tall, you can draw at this point. If you're 6 feet tall, you can draw at this point. If you're 6'5", you can draw at this point. You are generally, state by state, this could change, but you are generally allowed to deploy your firearm, maybe not pull a trigger, but to use that firearm as part of your self-defense when you are afraid of death or serious bodily harm. Now, what that kind of means is the person you're scared of has the ability to cause you or whichever intended victim they're going after, they can actually cause that kind of damage. Basically, it's your perception of what could happen to you, your fear. So you are allowed to use lethal force to defend yourself or defend other people from the fear of death or serious bodily harm. So what that means, and I think the reason why you're asking that question and giving me your size is All right, if someone's armed with a knife, they can kill anybody, right? If someone's armed with a gun, they can kill anybody. You know, you have to be, you know, extremely Andre the Giant size in order to say I'm not scared of a knife, right? Or scared of a gun. So if the person's unarmed, the attacker is unarmed, and they're bigger and stronger than you, and you believe that they could kill you with their bare hands, then that gun can now come out of that holster. You have to be able to you know, basically explain that though. Like the bad guy always has to have the ability and intent to do that type of damage. Now that's a lot easier said than done, right? You gotta be able to figure that out. So if you're looking at someone and they're much larger and stronger than you, and you believe they could kill you if they wanted to, and their you know, their body language or some of the statements they're saying, and they're gonna attempt to do harm to you, yeah, you can absolutely draw that gun. Now you can't shoot it until you've satisfied opportunity, which means they can use their tools against you. So if it's bare hands, they're going to be relatively close to you. Your life is in imminent jeopardy, meaning you don't have any other option. You had to shoot them, and there was no other option. You had no other reasonable means to deal with the situation. So you can shoot once you've satisfied ability, opportunity, human life in imminent jeopardy, and there's no other options. You had to shoot them. You can draw generally after you've satisfied ability and intent. Here's the other thing though, and I've said it once before in this video. You don't get to go through the investigative phases to decide if you were right or wrong unless you're alive. Make sure that you live long enough for someone to say you shouldn't have drawn. I hope that you don't go into that situation, but the absolute truth of the matter is, and I can't say this with definitive, like this is how it's gonna be, but we just see this over and over again, is smaller, weaker people or elderly people can generally use firearms at a much earlier time than larger, stronger, more in the prime of their life people. I mean, just like look at Stav. Stav's 5'2", 110 pounds on a heavy day. If she was attacked by an unarmed attacker, her response is going to be very different than my response, because I'm much larger, and you know, my knowledge base on how to defend myself is deeper than hers, and that could come up too. So
like if someone your size was attacking me,
yeah, you could shoot me all day long. I can't shoot you.
Right.
It causes a little bit of a discrepancy in this relationship.
This question's from Diane Lynn. I just got my CCW.
I'm sorry.
I just got my CCW and I'm trying to decide if I should invest in insurance in case I need to use my gun. From an officer's point of view, do you think it's worth the money? If so, is there an organization you recommend?
If you have to draw that gun or shoot that gun, it is worth the money. So if that gun ever comes out of its holster, it's worth the money. Without it, you're basically running the risk a lot that you never need your gun. And the truth is, there's a tremendously high percentage that you're going to carry that gun for your entire life and never need it.
Hopefully.
And that's a good thing. But if it is needed, having insurance is a great idea. So you got to like balance that. Is it worth $20 a month or $30 a month, whatever it is? You know, it's kind of in between 20 and 30. I would say yes, it is worth it, but you get to make the final decision on that. The one that jumps into my head right away is USCCA, just because I see their ads all the time. Everybody I know that has used them is happy with them. I know there's one other company out there, I forget the name, but do your own research and figure out which one you like best. Stav, you did a video on USCCA. Stav did a video on USCCA, so
get below.
That's what I would just probably go with USCCA, and you know, I would say it is probably worth it.
Question for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. This is from Janon Spiller. If I said your name wrong, I'm sorry. What are your thoughts on carrying a round in the chamber?
Absolutely. If you're not comfortable with that, I wouldn't scold you, but I want you to get comfortable with that in a short period of time. If you're basically going to rely on your body to put around in the chamber under the stress of an actual life and death situation, you're asking a lot. Here's the way it breaks down. Most civilian gunfights are ambush situations, meaning you're going to get attacked, which means the bad guy is going to set the time and date for the attack. You're not going to be knowledgeable about this. You're not going to know. If you knew, you wouldn't be there in the first place, or you'd have your M4 helmet, body armor ready to rock, right? You wouldn't be carrying just your self-defense pistol. So, bad guy attacks you. You're prepared because you're carrying, but you weren't planning on this at this exact moment in time. It's going to take you 1 to 5 seconds to actually realize you're in a life and death fight. You're not going to know instantly. You're going to basically view and go, oh my God, this guy's trying to kill me. That's going to take at least 1 second, maybe more, up to 5 seconds really. So now you have to respond. So it takes you 1 to 5 seconds to realize that you have to respond. Now you have to respond. It takes you 2 seconds from the draw to the first shot. So 1 second to realize you're in a life and death event, 2 more seconds to get a shot off. You are 3 seconds behind in any type of deadly encounter. Okay, so now you're asking yourself, under the stress of this entire situation, to now put a round in the chamber. All right, now your non-dominant hand might be very busy, and that process, although it seems very easy, there's a lot that can go wrong. You cannot pull the slide all the way to the rear. You can kind of short stroke it. You can screw a lot of things up. You should absolutely get comfortable loading your firearm when someone's not trying to kill you, like before you leave the house. Make sure there's a round in the chamber, double check it, holster it, be confident with that. I also don't like safeties for the same reason that we're talking about right now. If that's a question later, we're hitting it now. I like firearms that are ready to go. Your holster is your safety. The gun will not go off when it's in the holster. A good holster will provide you with a safety. When you draw, you should be able to pull the trigger right away. Know that, become comfortable with that. That's how I recommend everyone carry for self-defense. Now, people might want safeties or might want not putting a round in the chamber because they're scared of someone else getting a hold of their gun. That's a valid concern. You have kids, if someone might get a hold of your gun. Then it would be great if there was no round in the chamber. Then it would be great if there was a safety on the gun. So you got to figure that out for yourself. As far as defending yourself from an attack, no safety, round in chamber, ready to go. But life is different than just that. So try to balance that and see what is best for you.
Okay, this question is from Black Bart. In your defensive loads, what round would you suggest for a 9mm or 40 Smith & Wesson? I normally use Federal Premium HST, 124 grain. My 40 currently I'm carrying Fiocchi 180 grain XTPHP.
I mean, I like Federal HST, it's my favorite round. So, but I also like heavy for caliber. So I would go with the 147 grain for the 9mm, and I'd go with like a 180 grain for the 40 cal. But we carry Federal HST at work. I carry Federal HST off duty. Stav carries Federal HST. I did a lot of testing on it. The reason why we went with that caliber is because I tested it out real well. It just seems like an outstanding round all around. There's no reason to kind of go anywhere else for me, for my life. Federal HST, doing a great job. Thank you, Federal. Keep up the good work.
Mary Rubin asks, how do you like the Colt Python?
Well, I love Colt Pythons. I love them as like safe guns. You know, like I like them as collector's items. I think that they're probably the most attractive handgun that I can think of. I don't think that there's a handgun out there that looks as good as a Colt Python. Should you own one? Yeah, you should own 2. But you know, it's not part of my self-defense or home defense plan. It's just they're just awesomely beautiful guns that just continually gain value. It's just, you're not gonna lose with that gun. You buy it now for like, let's say you buy one now for $3,500. In 2 years, it'll be worth $4,000.
If a guy lets you borrow his Colt Python, he's a keeper. It means he likes you, right?
I think that's how I got her in the very beginning.
This question's from Alan C. I'm looking at carry options, and I think you both carry M&P shields. Just out of curiosity, why do you carry that over, say, the 365, Hellcat 43, or a mid-size pistol?
Easy answer. I carry a Smith & Wesson M&P 45 on duty because that's what I have to carry on duty. That's issued to me. So again, you've probably heard me say this multiple times. Consistency is super important under stress. So if you compare the shield to my duty gun, you're gonna see that they have the same angles. They have the same style of magazine release. They have the same style of slide stop. They have the same style of sights. Everything about that gun. It's like you took my M&P, stuck it in the oven too long, shrunk it down, and it became a shield. So everything's the same. And that's a good thing. Trigger, the triggers are the same. They're both, you know, the way they work, the reset, the poundage, everything's the same from duty to off duty. And then what happened was, and I've been carrying that gun ever since the shield really came out, is Stavroula used to carry a Ruger LC9, which is a fine firearm. Not really, I'd be lying. Stavroula carries the Ruger LC9, which is carried, which is an okay self-defense handgun. There's a lot of problems with it, just design flaws. So I got her to try a shield. She instantly loved it. And then it was just a no-brainer. This was before the 365. This is before the Glock 43. So we've been carrying shields a long time. And Stav loves the shield. So now we have the SIG 365. Fine firearm. Comes out nice. The Glock 43X, the Glock 48. Great guns. I was thinking about changing to that because of the magazine capacity now with those 15-round mags and stuff. But the truth is, I really like being super consistent with my duty gun and my off-duty gun. And then The added caveat to that is Stavroula loves the shield. So anywhere we go, there's like a minimum of 4 magazines available because we carry the same gun, same caliber. So like I might be carrying my gun with 2 extra 10-round magazines. It's kind of like my standard load. She's carrying her gun with generally 1 8-round extra magazine. So there's 3 extra mags right there just in case, whether she's doing the shooting or I'm doing the shooting, whatever. So interchangeability between firearms is great. And again, her comfort is the shield. So if she picked up my gun, she's gonna be super comfortable with it. She's not gonna go, oh shit, this is not what I'm used to. I love that about couples. I think that couples should carry the same gun. If they can agree on a gun, there's nothing wrong with you not agreeing. Like if you are like a Glock person and your girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever is a SIG person, okay, don't get in an argument over this. This is not worth it. But if you both
pick your battles. If
you both can enjoy that gun and find it, that's great that you can share holsters, share gear, share magazines, share sights, share tactical lights. It's actually quite nice.
This question is from Harold Cruz. Is competition shooting good since it forces you to shoot under stress?
Okay, competition shooting is good. It has some bad in it, but overall it's good. It's gonna force you to go fast. It's gonna force you to move most of the time. You're gonna put stress on yourself simply because you wanna be good at it, you wanna go fast. It's gonna possibly force you to shoot at obscured targets, smaller targets. It might force you to use cover. Here's the negative of competition shooting is it might force you to develop bad habits because you're gonna start gaming it. It's gonna be all about winning the trophy and not staying strict to self-defense principles. So IDPA is probably the best for your competition shooting as far as trying to maintain the best principles and of self-defense, but even IDPA has a lot of holes in it. Cover matters in a gunfight. Being able to be behind cover and being on the move when you're out of ammunition and things like that. There's a lot of things that you might do in a competition that might actually get you killed on the street. So try to remember what you think is super important about surviving a self-defense situation and don't lose sight of that when you do your competitive shooting. But overall, yes, competition shooting is like 90% good, 10% bad. Depending on the like I don't know, IPSC and USPSA can sometimes create just like standing still and doing reloads and with no cover and habits. Yeah, IDPA is my favorite to try to maintain the best self-defense training. But you're still gonna game it.
Moxie878 asks, Mac, what is your opinion on a calibrated laser light on a firearm?
I got no problem with it. If it's your self-defense firearm, meaning it's carried on your body, the odds of you using it in a self-defense situation are dramatically low. We covered this earlier. Someone's gonna attack you. You're not gonna be ready for the attack. You're not gonna be thinking, I'm gonna get attacked and possibly murdered today. So by the time you get that gun out and get a shot back at the bad guy or keep him from stabbing you a second time or whatever it is, you're not gonna be using a laser sight. You're just gonna draw and shoot. Home defense, I love laser sights. I think that they're very helpful. I love the flashlight laser combo for home defense. But for just standard carry in the street, no. I don't think that your eye is gonna pick up the laser either. You're gonna be looking at the threat and you're probably gonna have trouble picking up the laser, especially in daylight. I would, for the cost of the laser, what I would recommend to you is buy that much ammunition, $100 worth of ammunition, $150 worth of ammunition, and shoot that entire $150 or $100 worth of ammunition without using sights at all. Look at the threat, come out, shoot without actively engaging a sight picture, just stay focused on the threat. That skill set is going to be much more likely to keep you alive than pulling your gun out, activating a laser, which you might not even have time to do, now trying to find that laser on the target and pull the trigger. I think you're asking a lot of yourself in a real life situation. Just look at it, come out, bang. And if you can just teach your hands how to deliver around to that target you're looking at without focusing on your sights, that is way more valuable than a laser sight.
This question's from Sharon Rudd. I consistently shoot low and left. I've tried adjusting my grip and trigger finger, but nothing works. Any other suggestion for what I can try or why I can't fix it? Thanks in advance.
You are most likely taking up the slack on the trigger until the trigger hits the wall, okay? And then instead of pushing through the wall and firing that gun, you're popping through the wall. You're going, and then you're going at the end. Okay, that always causes a low left. Anticipating the recoil and you're popping through the trigger. What you have to do is push that trigger, and now it stops, and just keep pushing it. Just keep pushing the trigger until the gun goes bang. You want the gun to kind of surprise you. You don't want to snatch the shot. or shoot that gun just because your sights are lined up perfectly. You want those sights to be floating and moving and be comfortable with that, and just continue to apply the pressure to the trigger until the gun goes up. The very best drill that I can recommend to you is have someone else load your magazines with some live rounds and some dummy rounds, and when you hit that dummy round and the gun goes click instead of bang, you will see yourself pushing that muzzle down and to the left, and then you'll psychologically know what you're doing. You'll clear that dummy round out of there and keep shooting, and this is going to take, like, I would predict 3 boxes of ammunition, of ball and dummy drills. Some dummies, some live rounds in a magazine. It's going to take you over an hour, but you will destroy that flinch response if you are dedicated to fixing it with that style. And then hopefully it won't come back. But that's what you're doing. You're popping that trigger. You got to just push the trigger. Just keep pushing the trigger until the gun goes bang. Not, I want to shoot right now. I want to shoot right now. I want to shoot right now.
We did a video on that, so I'll put a little thing here so you guys can check it out if you're having a similar issue.
By the way, that's an extraordinarily common problem. Like almost everybody who starts shooting goes through that phase. You're just at it now. Like you can ask any shooter that you know, they've probably already gone through that phase. Yeah. It's just either they're going to spend like $1 million worth of ammunition to get that out, or just 2 boxes of ammunition and use dummy rounds. That's the best way to do it.
Okay, this question's from S. Crawford. I'm a beginner. Is it okay and feasible to shoot with a wrist brace on if you have arthritis and need some help?
Absolutely. If you got something going on that makes your hands uncomfortable, sure, do whatever you got to do. The odds are that under a self-defense situation, you're going to be so amped up, you could have a terrible wrist problem, but when you're shooting, you're not going to feel a thing. Your wrist might hurt tomorrow if you live long enough, but yeah, when you're shooting or you're training, if you have to wear something to make it more comfortable, do that. And then, you know, hopefully almost all that training will still transfer over to self-defense training, even though you won't have that wrist brace on. But yeah, it would be better to put that wrist brace on and shoot a lot without the pain, and then and when real life comes, you're not going to be like, time out, got to put my wrist brace on. You'll still be fine. You know, don't. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, guys. He got a bunch more questions, but we don't want this video to be too long, so I tried to pick the ones that I thought were the most popular based on what a lot of you guys asked. So hopefully that was helpful and you guys liked it. Thank you for doing that Q&A for us. Please make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! It's too far!